Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Notice there's something back here. Don't worry about it yet. Okay? For now, let's just get started on the objective. Okay? The objective for today is we're still dealing with those trigonometric, okay? Those trigonometric angles. Okay? It's a little complicated to say. Trigonometric angles. All right. Last class, we learned how to plug it in when it comes square, okay? Or a triangle, should I say? Today, we're kind of doing the same thing. The only difference today, okay, is we're gonna find theta using different methods, okay? So our objective for today is know how to plug in our numbers, because it's very important, okay? If you don't know how to plug it in, then you can't really solve it. Also, solve for x, okay? There's 2 theta on each one of these problems. The only difference is, in order to not confuse you guys, I use 1 as x, okay? 1 is x, 1 is actual theta. Technically, it should have been theta and copy theta. But I'm not going to confuse you guys, so copy theta is actually now x, okay? Just so you guys can understand it better, the concept. All right, so again, we're going to plug it in and solve for x, okay? I'm going to have you guys copy down what I have back here on the board really quick, okay? And then I'm going to explain it to you guys. All right. If you needed more time, go ahead and rewind the video, pause it, copy it down, okay? For the ones that already have it completely down. This is how it works, okay? We have quadrant 1, and then quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4, okay? When it comes to, obviously they're not in order. Quadrant 1 should be over here, quadrant 2 should be over here, but I wrote them in order, okay? When it comes to solving for a specific, okay, theta, in this case, keep in mind, theta is always will revolve around your x-axis, okay? So it's always the closest angle to your x-axis. In this case, when you're dealing with quadrant 1, okay, whatever your angle is, that is what theta is, okay? It never changes between 0 and 90. If you have a theta that is 40, then that's your answer, 40, okay? So x equals theta, okay? So whatever theta is, that is your answer when it comes to quadrant 1, between 0 and 90, okay? When it comes to quadrant 2, notice that the smaller angle is closest to your x-axis. So this is what's most important, okay? Your angle here. Obviously, when you're trying to solve for that angle there, okay? If you do from 0 all the way to your x-axis, that is 180 degrees, okay? This is where that unit circle we did comes in handy, okay? So your equation to solve for x in this case, okay, when it's dealing with quadrant 2, it's x equals 180 degrees minus theta. Okay, notice I have theta over here. So whatever theta is, you're going to subtract it to 180. That should give you x. For example, if theta was 120, okay, we will subtract, we'll say 180 minus 120, okay? For the ones that don't know how to do it in your head really quick, 180 minus 120 is 60, okay? That means that x equals 60 degrees, okay? Obviously, I'm going to do a few more examples, but just the purpose of, okay, so we can understand how it works. Quadrant 3, if we're dealing with quadrant 3, again, notice you have a small angle that is on your x-axis, is x, okay? When it comes to third quadrant, the equation changes a little, okay? So you have x equals theta, whatever your whole theta is. So if it's 220, it'll be 220 minus 180. That should give you the distance from just this little piece of the angle, okay? Obviously, again, I'm going to do one in a minute. And finally, we have a fourth one, which is quadrant 4, okay? So quadrant 4, again, x is always closest to your x-axis. In this case, we have our angle here. X equals, so if we're trying to find x, it equals 360 minus theta. Okay, so if theta is this part here, whatever that degree is, subtract it from 360, and that should give you the leftover angle. Okay, I'm going to do one of each so you guys can get a little bit more the hang of how it works. Okay, if I were to have an angle for this quadrant 1, again, we have our line. If I were to say I have an angle that is 30 degrees, okay? If I were to say, what is theta? Theta is, again, 30 degrees, okay? So theta equals 30 degrees. What if I were to say, okay, now I'm going to use quadrant 2, okay? So we have quadrant 2. We have an angle. We have our theta. It goes from 0 to our angle, okay? And we're looking for theta. Theta would equal, okay, obviously for you guys it's x. Theta would equal whatever the angle is, the big one, okay? Subtract it from 180. What if I were to say from 0, it goes all the way to 130 degrees. So this angle here is 130. So we would say 180 minus 130. So we have 0 minus 0, 8 minus 3 is 5. The 1 cancels the 1. So theta equals 50 degrees, okay, which is this angle here. Obviously, if we do it again for the other piece, for quadrant 3, remember, we need to know how to plug it in. That's our objective for today, to know how to plug it in order to solve for x. So we have our theta, we have our angle. Let's say our whole turn from our arrow is 230 degrees, okay? Remember, we're trying to find from the x-axis to our theta, okay? So again, since we're dealing with the bottom, okay, quadrant 3, we would say 230, okay, solve for theta, that is in here, equals 230 minus 180, okay, which in this case 0 minus 0 is 0, 3 minus 8, you really don't have the numbers, you have to borrow from the 2, so you have 13 minus 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, so you have 5, okay, the 1 cancels out the 1, so technically theta equals, again, 50 degrees, okay, and finally, if I were to say this whole arc, okay, is 330 degrees. So 360 minus 330. We'll have 30 left, right? So theta equals 30 degrees. Okay? Remember, guys, you have to figure out where your theta stands, okay? So if I were to say, we're going to have a problem where theta is, or should I say 120 degrees, okay? Our angle is 120 degrees. Are we going to use quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, or quadrant 4? Remember, 120 degrees. The first quadrant goes from 0 to 90. The second one goes from 90 to 180. The third one goes from 180 to 270. And the fourth one goes from 270 to 360. Okay, if we're dealing with 120, we have to use quadrant number 2. Okay? All right, so here's your assignment for today. All right, your assignment for today is you have 155 degrees, okay? That's your first one. Your second one is 230 degrees, okay? So make sure you graph it. Remember, your theta is always on your x-axis. And your third one, okay? Hint, hint. This one you're really gonna need the unit circle. It's 4 pi over 3. Okay? So go ahead and graph them. Okay? How they will look. And then tell me what quadrant are you gonna use. And then go ahead and solve for theta. Okay? So there's 3 things. You have to graph it. You have to tell me which quadrant you're using. And then finally, you have to solve for theta. Remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, guys. I'm here to help. All right, as soon as you're done watching the video, don't forget to send in your work. I'll be here waiting for your email.